Hi, patch day number something. I don't even know what it is. Number 32, maybe? All right, good enough. So, in those stutter examples, I suppose what makes sense to me and would make sense to most people is that you really want to capture, instead of capturing what just happened, you'll generally want to capture just what's about to happen, because that's what happens when you're trying to make this effect and you want to do it live. That's what happens. That's why, yeah, you'll want to do that. So I'm going to do this with a groove and a buffer. Buffer tilde, I'll call my buffer dancing. Or dancing with the stars. Maybe that would be just too long. And with the buffer, instead of using SF info, I'm going to use info tilde, which will give me information about dancing buffer. And I'm going to need a bang to actually report that information from the buffer, and I'm going to want a message that replaces that buffer with a thing called drum loop.aif to get really what? Am I repeating myself? Yes, I am. So replace that, and we can verify this indeed is a buffer loaded with the drum loop.aif. I'm going to use a groove tilde, so I'm going to create that already. Groove tilde, referring to the buffer dancing, and I'm going to eventually need to give myself an easy DAC. Yes, indeed. So there's my groove, or groovy. Um, so as with most grooves, you want to want a sig tilde with ones. You need some kind of signal into a groove to tell it what speed to play at. And I'm just going to have my groove play at normal speed, which is 1, and loop with space 1 and a comma for a start loop. So we're just looping this groove thing over and over. We can do this, check that it's working. Awesome. All right, so it's this will get it looping, and now we're going to want to figure out how to use the key object in the same kind of way as we did in those last couple of patch days to do the timing divisions of like 4, 8, 16 powers of 2, for example. So let's do exactly the same thing as before. Key, again, we are only interested in the number keys, which are from 49 to, let's say, 57, or yeah, sure, 59 or 58. I don't know. I'll just keep changing that number, keep you guessing. So that's the number keys 1 to 9 on my QWERTY keyboard. Again, for this powers thing, I'm going to not want to raise it to the power 49. I'm going to want to do it, let's say, raise 2 to the power 2 to start with, which would be 4, division of 4, and then etc., etc. We'll make the pow object, so new pow, and the message 2, which is going to be our power that we're, 2 to the power whatever, then that whatever is indeed that number there. So 2 to the power 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, this is going to be the length. We want this to refer or be basically divide the length of our sample. So let's already start using this thing. We can see that total time, let's send from here, S loop, S samp length, I guess, because that's what it is. It's the length of the sample. And we're going to receive that samp length over here in order to divide it. So reciprocal divide by, so we can store that. I guess we could do this whole thing with floats, although that kind of accuracy in milliseconds is completely unnecessary. We're going to divide the sample length by that power, those powers of 2 there. That's perfect. So this should give us our loop. This should be our loop lengths now. Before we get too excited, well, I don't know about getting excited, but we're going to want to know something about where we are in the loop when we start this, when we click on this one of those keys. So I'm going to use a snapshot to figure out where I am and take this. I'm going to want to get this snapshot value when I want to start looping, and to do that I'll make a trigger object with a bang and the float, so that when I click on my key I get the current position in the groove. And to make everything work in a very similar way, I'm going to multiply this snapshot, because the groove tilde outputs 0 to 1, 0 at the start of the loop and 1 at the end of the loop. I'm going to multiply that by my sample length. So R sample length, I could have copied and pasted that. Okay, good. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to make a send from here called time now. Alright, so this will give us the current time in milliseconds that we clicked on the key on the keyboard. I'm going to have to do something with this float value here. And what am I going to do with that? I'm going to take this time now value, so I'll receive, whoa, hey, hang on. I'll receive time now and multiply this. No, I'll just add it. Yeah, that seems to make more sense. So I'll add whatever the loop length is to time now, and use that for the end of the loop. And the start of the loop is going to want to be the time now value. So I could make a send for that. I mean, I could make a receive to put the time now in there, but how about I just do this? All right, good. There is used to be some necessarily you needed to change the loop maximum before the loop minimum on Groove. I don't know if that still exists, but this will do it that way right now, because this time now will come out first, and then this will set the start loop point right there. Okay, this might actually kind of work, I think. Let's see. If I click on the key, oh yeah, I need this sampling business up here. I need to click this button. I guess maybe you didn't hear that. I needed to click this button to get the sample length variable running. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so it definitely does the stuttering action. The thing that it doesn't do is stop when it when I release the key. So I'm going to make a new object here. Actually, I'm not going to make a new object there. I'm just going to copy this one key with the split, and I'm going to change that key to a key up. And when I get the key up, I'm going to trigger a bang and send a variable called key is up. Something really ambiguous like that. All right. So now when I receive key is up, a good idea might be to take time now. So no, actually, do we care about time now? No, we don't care about time now, right? We want to basically reset the loop points to the start of the loop. I mean, to its minimum, set its minimum point to 0, which is the start. Yeah, okay. And set its maximum to the end, which is, I guess we could put a float new object with a 0 point, something like that. So we'll store that in there and trigger this. When the key is up, we'll set the end point to the length of the file. All right, so this should work now. And the thing that you'll notice now that I think we'll want to be able to fix is that it now, when you release the key, it doesn't matter. It'll just start it'll start wherever it was looping, but we want it to start back when we lift the key up. We want it to start back, start where it would have been if we hadn't have put the key down. So this part of it's just a little bit ridiculous, but we need to use a timer to measure the time that has elapsed since we put the key down, which is this chumpy here, and this key is up. So this is going to be how long in milliseconds that we've held the key down for, and we're going to do plus the time now, so we'll put a plus in here with the receive time now. We've got one right here. And the other thing is that this could quite easily, if we held the key down long enough, this value here might be over the end of the loop. So we're going to modulus that by the sample length so that we just go back to the start if it's over the nth. I'm going to drag me another one of these sample length things over here, and we can just set that position immediately in the groove tilde, which is what the left float coming in the left does. We're going to need to bang this button again for this sampling thing to be loaded up on this modulus guy. Now let's see if this works. Perfect. All right, so I'll see you in patch a day 32. Cheers.